to Getting to the Truth in Its Art. I am your host, Rob Lee. And my next guest is a chef, business owner specializing in Puerto Rican empanadas, coquito, currently catering at Motor House, the Empanada Lady, Elisa Milan. Welcome, Elisa Milan, to the podcast.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. And thank you for, again, making the time. We did the little pre-show talk. So I want to get into some questions and kind of, bring more attention and more eyes to what you're doing, because your food is something else.
I love the attention. I'm here for it.
So give us the vitals. Describe really your work, like really what you do day to day, and where'd you learn to cook, and what got you interested in being in the food service restaurant industry?
So I cook every day. That's what day to day looks like, cooking. If I'm not chopping up a pepper, I'm frying something, I'm blending or boiling something. Every day looks like cooking and customer service. But I started working at a yoga studio, and there was an art gallery upstairs, and I made a bet with the guy who owns the art gallery that he bet me that I couldn't make money selling food. So I'm like, I'm up for a challenge. Okay. So the next Friday I brought in empanadas. I wasn't making them on the spot like I do now. I cooked them at home, put them on warmers, and I sold out. Mm-hmm. I sold out. So, my price point wasn't right. I didn't profit, but I was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
I got to tweak some things, but I can do this. And I was part-time. I was doing it on the side. Like, I wouldn't even say part-time, because it would just be random times I would pop up. I was working for the state, and then I booked a regular night. I had Friday nights, mm-hmm. and I really enjoyed it. And I used to pray, like, God, I don't want to work no more. Can you make these empanadas make me enough money to quit this job? But I was like scared. I would talk to my family, and, entrepreneurship isn't something that I've seen in my family before. So they were kind of like, no, you need your job. You need your 401k. You need that health insurance. I was scared, but I think the praying manifested it, because the state didn't renew my contract, and I started doing empanadas full time.
I love that out of sheer kind of like spite, that challenge. Is like, I don't think you can do this. It's like, all right, I'll show you.
I'll show you something.
That's kind of where this podcast came from a little bit, outside of the whole, the genesis of like Trump taking weird shots at Baltimore and me getting tight. And I need to disprove that. But it really came, the continued inspiration comes from a friend that was like, I'd be surprised if you can get 20 people on this podcast. And I'm like, I got over 200.
Right.
What you mean?
Like, I'll get 50. What do you mean?
Like, what is this? Like, this is a bad challenge. I hope you didn't bet on this.
Right.
So I would imagine like there's a lot of love in what you make.
Yes.
So speak on like the way that the recipes kind of work. Is it something that was handed down? Was it something that you're like, you know what, I'm going to be tweaking as I go along, looking for that perfect empanada? And secondly, if it is something that was handed down for sake of argument, do you stick to it religiously, or do you modify it at all? So
the recipes were handed down. This is how we ate them growing up in the house. My grandmother making them, my mother making them. As far as the seasoning, mm-hmm. the seasoning is traditional and has remained the same to how my grandmother told me to cook it. When I'm like, I'm about to start making empanadas, I called her, like, what do I need? And she's like, go get some peppers and some onions and make the sofrito and do this and do that. And I follow that to a T. The way that, but I do modify it. And that way it's the protein options. Mm-hmm. We weren't eating apple in the house growing up, but I have an apple empanada. We didn't have the shrimp ones. but I have the shrimp ones. So the variety of options is my modifier. And that's me wanting to be able to meet the demand of, different customers. Because everybody doesn't eat pork. Puerto Ricans eat pork, okay? We would do a whole pig roast, head, body, whole pig on a stick. So that, that encouraged me, just knowing the diversity of people has allowed me to add different flavors. But as far as the seasoning, they're all seasoned the same, all the shrimp, the pork, the beef, and it's exactly how my grandmother did it.
That's great. Something that's handed down. And I think, and I even see one of the things that you were doing today, and watching your story, just in an attempt to be inclusive of the vegan community with the coquito, like, yes, there's a way to maybe do this. And I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, you can do it that way. Just like being a fan of it now, right? I'm like, getting like Coquito Weekly or what have you. I'm like getting the magazine, like, what's good here? What's the latest? And the little coconut news, but being able to modify it to make it a more broad, like you have the option. And I think that's really cool. So for those who are undipped and uninitiated, like I've seen a recent influx because, I was adopted by a Puerto Rican dude at one point. He was, we're friends. So for the folks that don't get it, describe Puerto Rican food, like, and how, like in a very general way, because it's broader than just, hey, here's one sentence about Puerto Rican food, but describe Puerto Rican food and how do you describe your overall cooking philosophy?
Puerto Rican food is flavor. I think that there is a general way you can, label it. Puerto Rican food is flavor. It's, it's spices, but it's not spicy. Mm-hmm. It's flavor. Puerto Rican food is just flavorful. You're supposed to get a blast of flavor in every single bite. Yeah. My philosophy, I looked at that question and I really had to think about it. I was like, what is my philosophy on food? And I think that it's not a cultural thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a Puerto Rican thing when it comes to food. I kind of stand on food being energy and energy never being destroyed. Yeah. So when I say I put love into it, I mean it. Like I pray over the food while I'm cooking. I pray over my pockets while I'm cooking. Mm-hmm. I ask God to allow this food to be nourishment of people's bodies and return to me in financial favor. Yeah. And I don't cry in the kitchen. You know what I mean? I won't cook angry. Mm-hmm. I won't be upset around the food that I'm making, not just in the sense of my business, but for people to consume. So it's not like I don't have bad days or bad moments, but I'm going to stop and I'm going to get myself together before I am putting my hands rolling the empanadas and season them and just all these energetic transfers. So I think my philosophy is, I don't know. I want to say it's made with love, but it's not just about the love. It's even just cleansing, nourishing. May it be for the nourishment of their bodies, because it is fried food, but I'm not heavy on the salt. Yeah. I try to use fresh herbs instead of, ground ones that the companies they can put, whatever they want to put into them. So I think it's just like food is energy. Food is energy.
That's a very thoughtful like question to it. And I think it's more than just, well, food is this. And I think you articulated it better than just food is something you should enjoy. And obviously that's a piece of it. And in addition to it, like in going there, you may not see me, I got the mask on most of the time, but in going there is a positive energy coming out from the back of the counter. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm going to enjoy this empanada. Like the last time me and my mans went there,
we were so busy that day.
Yes, it was.
I wanted to chop it up with you a little bit more. Yeah. It was so busy.
And you just ran out. I was like, oh, I was literally, and as I was walking, I was about to crack it open. I was like, yo, I'm going to take this empanada before I get to the truck, my guy. And my man's, he ended up getting I forget how many he got. He was like, yo, I was eating them all morning. I was like, you are a degenerate. And I was like, weren't they for your wife? He's like, yeah.
Did they get home to her? Did she ever get any?
She may have got one of, I think he got 9. I don't remember how many he got.
He did get a lot. I do remember.
She may have gotten 1 because he was like, yo, look, I'm a big guy, man. I enjoy these. I was like, you're high too. He's like, I am. So let's talk about the kitchen a little bit.
Okay.
What name 3 kitchen tools that you can't do what you do without, like you need them. And with those tools, what are they used for? Like I'm in the market right now for a chef's knife. And literally my answer for that question is going to be, it does everything. I'm getting rid of all my knives to get purely a chef knife. So for you, what is that those 3 items that you're like, I need these to do what I do? So
the most basic one would be the fork, because that is how I seal the empanadas. Yeah. I need a fork. Nothing's going down without a fork.
Crimping ain't easy.
And, and it's not for consumption. It is so, that seal, and they have to be sealed a certain way so that they don't, bust open in the grease. So definitely the fork. You said 3. I would say a cutting board. Mm-hmm. I use the cutting boards for prep, whether it's, I have to, cross-contamination, I have to have like 7 of them. So it's 1 for the peppers, it's 1 for the apples, it's 1 for the chicken, because I shred it and pull it. So almost everything at some point passes through the cutting boards. And let me think. Cutting board must-haves, right? It's like must-haves. Right now, because it's coquito season, I need a strainer. So with the coquito, the anise flowers and the nutmeg, some of the seasons that I use, they have to be boiled and strained. I can't just give you coquito with that stuff in it. People will be like, oh my goodness, what are these pieces? Because they're not meant to be consumed. They're just meant to get the flavor. So right now, those would be the top 3.
Just have a whole cinnamon stick in there. It's like, what is this?
I do sometimes leave a whole cinnamon stick though, because it gives garnish. It gives, when you pour your cup, just sit it on the side and take a good picture and tag me.
Absolutely. It gives you like attention. I remember this thing about cinnamon sticks specifically, that they're a sign of good luck if you keep a cinnamon stick in your pocket.
I never heard that. That's dope.
Yeah, it's something I've applied, and it was fortunate. I had some interviews for different jobs. I was like, I'm keep the cinnamon stick in my pocket. This pays a lot. Yeah,
that's so interesting.
So as I said, earlier that my people, Puerto Rican folk, I had a nickname called Leche Malo back in the day, which is terrible. But I've seen like a steady growth in like Puerto Rican food and just elements of like Puerto Rican culture popping up. I think of La Bodega from Tola's Room and Pitoro from Puerto Rican Distillery. They come to mind. What do you attribute to kind of like this kind of behind the scenes growth? Because you're part of it as well. So what do you attribute to that?
I think that it's hard. It's hard to be general, but I do want to kind of speak for the community and say that we want to be seen. We want to be acknowledged, like we exist. Yeah. And I love my city. I love Baltimore. Don't get me wrong. However, it's a very black and white space, and cultures just aren't known or familiar to people. You look at people and you just assume they're black or they're white. It's not. With my family being from New York and being exposed to different cultures since the day I was born, it's common for me to know more ethnicities and also ask, like not assuming that it's just black or white. Yeah. So I think that Puerto Ricans in the food industry are being seen more because we want to be seen more. We want to be acknowledged. We want the exposure. We want the culture to be appreciated and loved. It's been neglected on almost every platform, mainly like, the United States. Half the island still is like 80% without power, and from Maria. And that was, however, some odd years ago. So I think that it's just, our culture is tight. You know, we're going to run into each other anywhere and it's going to be love, complete strangers, you know? So I think it's just, fighting for acknowledgement and knowing how good our stuff is, you know, on some cocky shit. Like, it's that good and you want some of this. And then when you come get some, tell me you love me later. 'Cause I love you too, you know?
That's great. That was very cocky. That was very New York, very Puerto Rican. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I think your point around it, like Baltimore is a city that's 62, 66, somewhere in that range % Black. And, you know, it's this kind of thing where in doing this podcast, and one of the goals of this podcast is to show that Baltimore is broader than just that black and white. Like, that's a big piece of it. That's a part of the story, but we have different communities and it's like, it's tight knit within those communities. So like, there are a fair amount of like Filipino folk here, and like all of them know each other. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I interviewed him. Yeah. I interviewed her as well. And, you know, you kind of, for me, I think that's a supplement for travel for me. Like, let me learn about your culture, not in an appropriation sort of way, and not in a fetishizing sort of way, but I'm a person that appreciates culture. And it's like, let's move on to the next thing, because literally like the next thing being like, I guess I'm going to be visiting or wherever, because that's of interest to me or what have you. I feel like I'm a world traveler in that way. And sometimes just connecting with different people is a way to supplement that. And a lot of times they're right here, and we don't even, to your point, acknowledge that they're right here.
That community exists.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's help, you know, just like black people, you know, with the Black Lives Matter movement and that acknowledgement and, you know, needing to be seen. It's like there's stuff going on in different communities. And sometimes it just takes the right person knowing to be able to be that helping hand, like passing on blessings and paying it forward. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, it's like united under the umbrella of like Baltimore. That's literally what I look for here, is like so many different people have different stories, different backgrounds, culture, so on and so forth. And ultimately, if you're stopping here, it's like, yo, you get the pass already. You're in Baltimore, you get the pass. So it's like, yo, why aren't you being like regarded as part of the community? And I think that's what I aim to do with some of this stuff. So let's talk about, and I'm framing this question on, I would just ask it. What is the easiest, because I was thinking about it, what is the easiest and the hardest ingredient for you to work with?
Easiest and hardest. Nothing. I don't want to say, because they're going to listen to this and just think I'm so cocky.
No.
I don't want to say nothing is hard. You know, sometimes there's like, I remember when I first started making a coquito, there was a learning curve in, you know, when things should be added and the consistency and the amount of flavor, because it's very much, my kitchen and my food is very much seasoned until the ancestors tell me to stop, you know? So there are learning curves, ingredients. I don't think anything is hard. Like on a food safety level, different foods have to be cooked at different temperatures just to ensure safety. Those type of things need to be acknowledged. But again, it's not hard. It's just a learning. It's just having the knowledge to do it correctly.
Yeah. It's the hours of working with it. Like I had an interesting conversation with a pitmaster recently, and we were just trading notes because I'm a smoker. That's the thing I like to do. I like to smoke meat, smoke crab cakes, the whole thing. And he was just like, no, he's like, you realize you can't really mess up anything smoking. I was like, that's what I've learned from being behind that smoker. He was like, you know, you mess up some brisket. He's like, chop that bitch up, put in some beans. I was like, see? Yeah, exactly. There you go, right. So it's kind of like that for me. And I guess that's what I'm getting from you. Maybe I'm being a little bit more cocky listening to you. I don't know, but
I mean, it is. I mean, yeah, I think we're on the same page, and like nothing is hard. It is tedious. You know, it's very tedious. The rolling, again, it's not hard, but I'm hand rolling hundreds of empanadas at a time alone. Sometimes I have help. Most of the time I don't. So that is it's like hard on my hand. I have like a little callus on my finger from using the fork. We talking about 4 years of roll. I probably rolled 100,000 empanadas. Uh-huh. But yeah, not hard. I embrace it, you know.
It'd be great if you had, like, you know how you have the that iPhone, the Apple Watch tracker, and it's like, you've rolled this many empanadas today.
150,000 empanadas this week. Put the fork down.
Here's your little medal or what have you. So in terms of like growth as an entrepreneur and chef, because that's one piece we don't want missed, you know, the entrepreneur component of it. What are some of those techniques that you've added to your skill set? What comes to mind when you're like, okay, yeah, I've really gotten better at social media over the last year, what have you, working in collaborative, or even, you know, recently, you know, the Baltimore Sun situation presented itself. So what kind of things have you kind of like added to your skill set as both a chef and both an entrepreneur?
The social media definitely increased just the presence and the effort. Honestly, what I've gotten, the skills that I've intentionally worked on and seen growth in is asking for help. And knowing that I can't do it alone. My growth is, you know, it can be stagnant because I can only do but so much. For years, I was the cook, the host, the waitress, the cashier, the bus boy. You know, I'm doing the dishes, I'm answering the text messages, I'm taking the pickup orders, I'm taking the DoorDash orders, like all of those roles. I don't want to be negative, but it can be overwhelming. Yeah. So the skill set and just being able to ask for help, because there was a point in the beginning where I was doing deliveries and I'm like, I don't want people handling my food because they're not talking to friends. Like, they're not going to talk to my customers right. I need them to be, you know, they need to be very pleasant, smile, take your time, because I feel like that's why my customers stick with me. That's why I've grown the way I've grown, because my customers feel like my friends. Some of them genuinely have become friends that, like, I've been to their house and we spend time together. And some of them, that's just the love that is exchanged simply on the pickup of the food. Yeah. But when I having to get comfortable with relinquishing control and trusting someone else, giving them the tools that they need and trusting them to do what I'm asking them to do is a skill. And maybe it falls on leadership. Maybe leadership is delegation, is the skill. Yeah, delegation is the skill that I've had to master, because I know what I need to do. I know how I want to talk to my people. I know how I want to make them feel. But having to teach that and trust in someone else to do that, that's probably the main thing that in entrepreneurship and in the kitchen that has helped me, though, because now I do have 2 or 3 girls that I can reach out to for help. They know what I need done, and it's just based on availability. If they're available, I have them. And that helps everything run smoother. Yeah.
I think it's a good setup in where you're at currently, where you're able to kind of be that you have like an audience, because there's multitude of different events. So different people are encountering you and experiencing your food and just being in the location you're in. So the last question that I have for you before I get into rapid fire questions, these are scary ones. Your cockiness is going to go away with these.
Okay.
So this is one I didn't put it, that I just put in. So I changed one out. What are 4 words, right, that would describe you as a small business owner?
4 words that would describe me as a small business owner.
Yeah. Like, what are those traits for you? Is it like, yeah, you know, great. Like that's word number 1. So what words come to mind for you when you're looking at how you approach business or how you approach what you're doing? I
want to say I'm a blessed business owner. I want to say blessed first. Huh? I don't know if these are the words you're looking for.
No.
Blessed, grateful. Gratitude is a big thing for me. I have a close friends group on the Instagram page for my regulars. to do, like, I do specials. They get notified first when I'm doing something, you get perks. It's like, I appreciate the consistent support, and they're not always people that have ordered a million lunches or got their baby showers catered. It might just be people that share my post every time I post something. So whatever support looks and feels like, I like to find a way to show gratitude. So gratitude, I'm heavy on the gratitude.
Salmon empanadas come to mind. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say abundant.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that there's a cap on any way that it can go. On my attitude, on my happiness, on the money, on the acknowledgement, on the notoriety, on the relationships, on the connections, on the outreach, on, like, in peak COVID, I gave a whole bunch of meals to nurses, just gave them here, y'all working hard. And I have a friend who had just graduated and started in her field full time for a degree. And I reached out to her and I'm like, tell me some people you work with. Let's send them some food. Y'all need to eat. So the more that I have, the more that I can give. And even when I don't have it, I give it because I know it's going to come back. So I would definitely say abundance.
I've noticed that in, I think, like, overall, like, my overall interpretation, but I want to say it was one thing I noticed when you knew that the son was going to pull up and do the interview, take the pictures, have the whole demo and all of that. And you're like, oh, you got stuff? Pull up, people pull up. Right. It's going to be here at this time. And that's a thing that I've experienced. And like I was joking about being adopted and all earlier, but that was my first job. I worked in a Spanish speaking call center. So like I was really included early on, and it was kind of that energy. And like literally my work dad was like this Puerto Rican dude that he always looked out for me. And it was kind of like, this was the vibe. This was the energy. And, it's not always common with, like, generally speaking, but when you get it, you're like, this is what support feels like. This is what people sharing and looking out. And this is that one side of reciprocation. Genuine. Yes. Yeah.
Genuine love. Yeah. Like, I don't got to know you personally and know your story to really got love for you as a person. Yeah. As a human, we got to, sometimes it just has to be that simple. So blessed, abundant, grateful, and authentic. I stand on authentic. My brand is authentic. Like, it's my food, it's my food, my culture, my family's recipes, I don't like to dibble and dabble too far off. And even like, you've seen, I did the salmon ones, the salmon empanadas. So they were the bomb, but I season them the same way. Yeah. Salmon is not common. We're not making salmon empanadas in the house, but the way that I keep it traditional is the seasoning. Yeah. So very authentic, very deep rooted, deep rooted in the culture. And because it's beyond me. I'm sharing something that was given to me, that I was blessed with. So staying solid and grounded in that. I think those are my words. I like that question.
Well, thank you. I think like authentic definitely is that key one. And I'm glad you got that one in because it fits what is successful here in Baltimore. We're a very authentic city. We don't really do bullshit. All right. So now it's time for rapid fire questions. These are going to be hard. I'm just letting you know. So the way that these rapid fire questions work, I'm going to ask you a question and you don't have to provide any extra context unless you really want to. So an example might be, what's your favorite movie? And you're like, look, the answer is the answer. It is what it is. I said what I said. Okay. All right. So now this would be interesting. I wonder if it's going to be in Spanish. What is your motto?
Not going to be in Spanish.
Just trying to make this a bilingual podcast briefly.
What is my motto? All love, always, always.
Okay. Is there a chef that comes to mind that you admire that you're like, you know what? I like how they do things. I like how they run a kitchen. I like how I like their food. Who's a chef that comes to mind?
The first chef that comes to mind is Chef Dash. I have not had the opportunity to work in a kitchen with him, but I thoroughly enjoy his food. And he was a chef that I built a relationship early on in cooking. And he always gave me gems and tips, like something as simple as like, don't let the rice, you want to stir the rice every 3 minutes so it's going to dry up. Or, he was the first person, everybody, when I first was selling empanadas, they didn't have a sauce. Mm-hmm. So the customers would ask for a sauce, but Dash was like, you need to make something like a garlic aioli. You can use this and aioli, not aioli. You can use this and that, like just genuinely supporting me with no like competitive nature in his heart. Like we worked in the same place. We had different nights. Mm-hmm. He came on my night, and every time he's seen me since, he always just has knowledge for me. So his food is amazing. Like I guess that's the main part, but he's a really dope guy too.
Dope. What is the last emoji you used?
Let's see. I've been doing a lot of partying lately, so it's probably a happy one. Celebrating, Uh-huh. My last emoji is the girl. She's like doing a handstand, like she's flipping over, because when everybody's been saying, congratulations about the sun and stuff, that's how I feel. Like I'm just jumping for joy. So it's a girl doing a handstand.
you don't like the media run right now. I love it.
Yeah.
Tostones or Maduros?
Tostones. Yes.
Shame.
Yes, with some garlic, with some minced garlic.
That might have been a test right there. I know that sounds weird,
but I will dip it straight in minced garlic. I love garlic. I will dip it straight in minced garlic and just eat it.
I think there's a jar in my crib of some minced garlic that I got from La Bodega. And I've been putting everything in there.
Everything.
And I got like some sofrito. I was like, yeah, everything.
Yes.
Favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Save the Last Dance.
Really?
Yes.
Now, this is the last one I got for you. Music in the kitchen. Yay or nay? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
What are you playing?
Absolutely. Lately I've been on my what's it called? Afro beats vibes. Okay. So I've been feeling a lot of like Wiz, terms, and recently Chance the rapper. Like I kind of like what the title put in the song, you kind of let it just play and it does its own thing.
Yeah.
And it's a Chance the rapper song, Blessings. And it's like, what do you say? So when damn, I wish I knew words.
Lyrics.
I don't know. It's very energy. It's a very good energy song though. When the praises go up, the blessings come down. Yeah. When the praises go up, and I'll be in the kitchen screaming. Okay, definitely music in the kitchen.
It's good energy. So that's literally all of the questions that I have, but I want to invite you to tell the fine folks where to check you out and where to see you to get some food. Yeah.
Well, hey, fine folks.
Wow.
You can find me on Instagram at _Empanada, EMPANADA _lady. And I'm at Motorhouse Showroom Bar Tuesday through Friday from 11 to 2 and 7 to 10. Those hours are also the same for DoorDash. And you can text me directly at 443-377-1133.
Well, there you have it, folks. I want to thank you again for coming on to the podcast. This has been great.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Totally. So for the Empanada Lady, Elisa Milan, I am Rob Lee saying that there is food in and around Baltimore. You just got to look for it.